You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Cha-Cha on Base 101.1 FM.
Let's go about talking about today's story, today's topic. I say story because indeed it might be someone's story out there. Overcoming imposter syndrome. Let's talk about this because it affects us sometimes in the workplace.
Yeah, it definitely affects us in the workplace. What is imposter syndrome? So, first of all, let me start with what imposter syndrome is not. We like to be humble in this part of the world, and we attribute a lot of things to humility. Imposter syndrome is not being humble, right? It is that feeling of inadequacy. It's that feeling that you're not as competent as people think you are, even when there's clear evidence to the contrary. It's about sometimes having that self-doubt. And I'll give a practical, since we're talking about stories here, right? I remember the first time I was made a manager, right? I didn't think I deserved it,
right?
And I had to deal with that feeling of inadequacy. I had to literally overcome it. I also remember the first time I got a job as a HR director, and it was a big step up, and it was shoes I didn't think my feet were large enough to fill. So at every point in our career, like you said, as you start off your career, as you grow in your career, sometimes you'll be given responsibilities that you're not sure you're the best person to handle. And today, I think we'll be talking about how to deal with that imposter syndrome, not if but when it happens.
I've always I pride myself in being very, confident. I feel like I'm one of the most confident people. I've not always been this confident. But now, you can't tell me anything. I know what I'm worth. But I remember there was a time I got a message on Instagram where the phone I use is not to do an ad, but it's a Samsung Flip. And I got a message, and this message was like, "Hi Cha-Cha, how you doing? We would like to give you a phone." And I was really like, why are you people giving me a phone? And then I got to the office. I first told a friend of mine, I was like, because I'd had a conversation with her like 2 days before about this Motorola phone that I saw. It was a flip and it looked nice. So when they told me they wanted to give me a phone, I didn't even know what phone it was. I was like, you know what? It's just that no one kidnapped me. I do bad, but I started to retract my steps. Like, I know that I've gotten a lot of freebies. I've gotten merch, clothes, drinks, whatever, but never a phone. And I went to receive this at their office. And it was me, Erica from Big Brother. It was Aramide. It was some guy at that time who was David's lawyer. Then it was someone else from Big Brother as well. And I asked Aramide, I was like, you sure said this people know now million. And I
didn't think you deserved it.
Yeah, I was looking like, why would they, I'm not even an influencer. I didn't regard myself as that. And Aramide just looked at me. She goes, have you forgotten who you are?
You were suffering from imposter syndrome. You felt like you didn't deserve the accolades, the flowers you got. It happens to everybody.
It does. It does. I mean, what are the common signs you say to show that you're struggling with this?
Like you pointed out, nobody is immune to it. You'll be surprised, even presidents. I can bet you maybe the first time our president stepped into the Aso Villa, I must have felt like an imposter. Wow, am I here? Do I really deserve this? It would shock you just how many people deal with imposter syndrome.
Right.
And like you said, like you asked, what are the common signs? The first is, that, like I said, we may interpret it, he's just being humble, like people say, like, oh, maybe Cha-Cha is just being humble.
I wasn't.
Reluctant to step up.
Like, at some point, he started to say, are you sure it wasn't Tasha? They wanted to,
Cha-Cha,
because some of the people there were Big Brother people.
Yeah, so you're wondering, do I really deserve this?
And when I got there, they were welcoming me very well.
Exactly. So the first and most obvious symptom is that reluctance. Okay, you're reluctant to step up. You're reluctant to step up to receive your flowers, your accolades. You're reluctant to step up to greater challenges. Okay, and especially here in Nigeria, we have this culture of, I say when you're being given your flowers and accolades, we want to, in the name of being humble, we want to say, oh, it's the grace of God. It's by God's grace, and you're forgetting the fact that your talent, your hard work, your diligence also ushered you to the stage you are at today. So that's something that we need to pay attention to. Sometimes, in order to accommodate for the feelings of inadequacy, we tend to overwork.
I did.
Too much makeup, too much dressing.
I was posting a lot for them, tagging the brand and every month
because you felt you didn't deserve it. You're now trying to compensate for it. Yes, and forgetting the fact that you got those flowers because they believe, even if you don't, they believe that you deserve it. And then everybody suffering from imposter syndrome has the fear of being discovered as a fraud. So I'm the HR director. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I know what I'm doing. Forgetting the fact that, before they gave you this job, right, there were 100 other candidates that applied. There were 100 other applicants that were called up for interviews. There were 100 other guys and ladies that were, competing for you for that role, and you emerged as the most suitable person. So you don't think you deserve it, but everybody else does, and you think, one day they're just going to find out that I'm a fraud. Of course, other things like procrastination, you want to be a perfectionist, fear of failure, and sometimes you're just scared to remain mute. You don't want to speak up in meetings because you don't want to advertise your inadequacies.
Right.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about imposter syndrome and this is career competence, let's talk about the Nigerian workspace and culture. So, is there anything that you feel in the workspace, in the Nigerian workspace and culture, or career trajectory that might make these feelings of imposter syndrome even worse?
All right. Yeah. So, first off, there's this culture we have with regards to leadership where, if it goes right, it's my fault. If it goes wrong, it's your fault. So, when things go right, the leaders take all the credits. When things don't go right, the team members are the ones that take all the flack. So that could lead to feelings of imposter syndrome because the team members feel they don't ever get anything right.
Right.
So once they become leaders, they don't think they actually deserve it. So sometimes we should give our team members accolades when they deserve it. It helps boost their self-esteem. It helps them feel like the winners they are, right? And it could help them overcome this feeling of imposter syndrome. And then I'd say this, look, the job market is pretty competitive. Every day I go on LinkedIn, I'm seeing somebody just got this job with this company, somebody just resuming this company, this role with this other company. And if you're a job seeker, you're like, wow, this person just got this job, that person just got this job, this person just got this role, this person just completed this certification. What am I doing?
Yeah.
You feel like the world is moving so fast and you're stuck in your own little corner of the world and nothing is happening. Are you still good enough? So don't we're going to talk about things you shouldn't do, but that's another thing that just exaggerates that feeling of inadequacy. And then in Nigeria we have this fake it till you make it. So don't believe everything you see on social media, right? There's a lot of audio money out there. You have people, snapping pictures of cars that they supposedly own that they don't own. You have people snapping pictures in offices that they're supposedly working in, they're not working in there.
Or houses that they threw stones.
Snapping pictures of houses that they supposedly own but they don't own. Don't let social media put you under unnecessary pressure. You now start feeling like, see Chacha's fine big office. I'm sitting in my own cubicle. I see Gabriel's wonderful Rolls Royce, Phantom. I'm still driving my Toyota Corolla. Look, please don't let anybody put you under unnecessary pressure with the audio money. and the fake it to make it culture. Just be yourself, stay your lane, and keep working on yourself. And then although this similar to us, don't compare yourself to people on social media. Just don't.
I mean, who do you think gets this the most? Like, there's obviously some certain class of people who feel this imposter syndrome more than the others.
I'll tell you the first set of people, and it will surprise you. Do you know that the high achievers are the ones that are most susceptible to this? So let me give you a practical example. You were an NYSC intern, and you just got promoted to assistant manager. I mean, those are like big shoes. Then imagine your boss leaves, and then they nominate you to, in acting capacity. That's a huge shadow, right? That has been cast over you. You have to live up to the hype. So the people who experience career growth, who had a huge career leap, are very susceptible because they don't feel they are ready. And the truth is, you're never ready. You're actually never going to be ready in 100%. You just patch it along the way, right? If you're a perfectionist, oh yes, you're very susceptible. Interestingly, women. Women. I'm not really a gender advocate, but in this case, I have to. So, women, especially women leaders, you appointed as a leader of a male team, right? And you're looking at all these big men. You have to provide leadership to them. Sometimes men will test you.
Right.
They'll test your mettle. What stress they wouldn't give a male manager. They want to test your mettle to see whether you can provide leadership to them. I just give this example. Do you know, one day I was in a promotion committee meeting, right? I was steering the conversation, and there was a lady who was shoulders above everybody else in the team in terms of performance, and she was up for promotion, and we're about to promote her, and somebody raised up her hand and said, if we promote this lady, that means she will now have to lead married men, and she's a single girl.
Excuse you?
Yes, I'm telling you live. And I looked left and right, and everybody started nodding there. Yes, we can't promote a lady to lead married men, single girl to be leading married men. And I raised up my hand. I was like, excuse me, when is show me where marriage certificate is a credential for work,
madam.
And then the room went silence. Of course, she got the promotion, but you can imagine.
I just had to.
You had to put the applause.
I had to.
So the point is, imagine, so how do you think she felt the first few weeks, months of leadership, of stepping into that leadership role? She's a single lady, these men are older than her, they're married with kids, and she has to provide leadership to them. Of course, you cannot imagine the kind of imposter syndrome she had to deal with. So if you're a minority, I mean, if you're in the global market, you're of a certain race, and you have to provide leadership to colleagues of another race, especially if your race is marginalized, quote unquote. I don't want to go as far as saying Black Lives Matter here.
I mean, we can say it. We're African black in the West.
So Black African Lives Matter. Good. So I mean, those kind of minorities, are also very susceptible to imposter syndrome.
I mean, why does this matter? How does imposter syndrome affect? Sometimes I know it's in your head, but how would you say it affects you as a person in a workspace?
Now let's bring it to the workspace. So first of all, I'd say if you suffer from imposter syndrome, things when you should say it's okay. You keep quiet, you tolerate things you shouldn't because you don't feel you deserve your seat in the room. I've seen it affect people's careers. So somebody's boss is resigning or retiring, and you're the clear next in line, right? You're the heir apparent, as they say. And because you feel you're suffering from imposter syndrome, you're not confident enough to step up, you feel you don't deserve the next level that's clearly yours for the taking, right? So I've seen people shortchange their careers because they're not confident to step up to the next level. I'm HR now, so I've seen different kinds of candidates. Some candidates that are suffering from imposter syndrome, they take whatever salary you throw at them. But some other candidates who have clearly overcome that, who know their worth, like you said, you know, they will demand for what they deserve.
Right.
So because they don't think they deserve the pay, they're too bashful, too shy, too timid to request for what they deserve as part of, you know, you know, again, at the workplace, some people, do you know that there's some people who work so hard and then other people take credit for their work?
It is standard.
Yeah, because they're suffering so much from imposter syndrome. They're too humble to stand up and receive their accolades. And guess what? They say, no, I like to just work at the backstage. I like to be behind the scenes. And you're behind the scenes and somebody's on the stage receiving the flowers and accolades.
We've gotten to the point where we need to know how to fight back. How do you fight this back? Because at the end of the day, sometimes this imposter syndrome, like you said, stops you from speaking your mind, stops you from, you know, negotiating your pay or owning your success despite your hard work. So how do you advise for me to fight back?
So first of all, name that devil. Okay, so it's an insecurity, it's not a fact. Okay, so when you notice, oh, I'm feeling like I don't deserve this, name it. You're just feeling insecure. It doesn't mean that that's true. Secondly, you gotta reframe it. So when you've named it, reframe it.
Madam.
Challenge those village people in your head and call them out. All right, shift from the I don't belong here to, you know, I'm growing into this.
Cool.
You know, but just call them village people out. Call them out. Challenge them to. Yeah, so challenge them to native wrestling. Right, throw them in their back. All right, keep your receipts. What that means is, keep a record of your wins. All right, once you have a record of your wins, anytime those challenging thoughts, anytime those insecurities and fears pop up, just go back to your receipt drawer and then look at your wins. Okay, and then with those wins, you can use those wins to fight the feelings of insecurity. If you have somebody you can talk about it to, that is awesome. I remember the first time I got my role as the HR director. I was feeling like, what am I doing here? All right, I had friends, I had a support system, I had mentors that I could speak to, that could encourage me, that could tell me, you know what, Patrick, you got this, you know. And you know, I did get it.
That's my sister. That's what my sister will do. That's my community.
Great. So she tell you, Chacha, you got this, right? Good. So talk about it and then get support. If you have a mentor, a coach, a friend, heck, even a therapist, all right? Whatever you need, pastor, imam, you know, just get it done. Just get support if it's something you cannot deal with on your own.
I mean, it's hard to do, but it's easier when it's done. I don't know if that makes sense. But what are some of the long-term strategies for building long-lasting confidence and a more authentic self-worth in our careers? I mean, it's a mind game thing.
Yeah. So first of all, in the long haul, you can't fake it though. If it's not, you can't give what you don't have. Okay, so you have to learn. All right, so you just got a new role. You need to learn the ropes of the new role. So once upon a time, you were responsible for just your performance. Now you're responsible for the performance of yourself and a team. So it's not the same skill set that got you here that will take you to the next level. So you have to keep learning, unlearning and relearning. Right. So keep learning, and the more you learn, the more confident in the long run you will be. All right, set realistic, achievable goals. Don't set goals that are unrealistic, because they will break your confidence. All right, those the more you achieve, the more confident you become. All right, some people are not used to feedback. You know, and you need people who can tell you the truth, who can call out your, you know, I don't want to say that, but yes, they can call out your B, exactly, tell you to your face, look,
this wasn't good, this wasn't right.
Chacha, you can do this, you can make an improvement here, you can make an improvement here. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? People who are not afraid or intimidated, who don't feel the need to lick your boots, they tell you as it is. And you take that constructive feedback in good faith and take it as fuel to become a better version of yourself. You need a strong support system of mentors, sponsors, and peers, all right? Peers will encourage you to keep doing better. Learn to accept compliments gracefully. Look, you did well, right? Don't say, oh yes, it's God. I'm not saying you can't, give honor to God, but I mean, if you're giving flowers, accept the flowers, yeah? If you're giving, what's that applause? If you're giving applause,
I'm not giving
don't give applause, it's fine. If you're giving an applause, accept the ovation with a bow or a curtsy or whatever it is. Then reflect regularly on, I don't want to preach, what's that thing called that people do? That
affirmation.
Yes, if you're doing affirmations, affirm yourself. Have a healthy mental picture of yourself to replace that broken, defeated fraud that you think you are at the moment. And then look, your journey is unique.
It is.
Don't compare yourself with anyone.
Never do that.
Celebrate other people's strides, celebrate your success, but don't ever get intimidated by somebody else's success story. Don't let someone else's success intimidate you to feeling like you don't deserve yours as well.
Very well said. Look, we're already 2 minutes past time, but I would love to know, because this is to our Nigerian brothers and sisters, do you think that there are specific mindsets or perspectives that can be helpful for Nigerian professionals battling imposter syndrome? Because in all honesty, Nigerians were a different breed.
Look, like you said, you took the words out of my mouth. Nigeria, they're different. So first of all, here in our culture, look, there's one plus about Nigerians. We are the most optimistic people in the world.
Right.
So embrace the Niger spirit of resilience, of optimism, of never say die. We always have this, they had this saying back then in those days, it go one day, it go better. We are just optimistic like that. So look, you're Nigerian. If you're Nigerian listening, just hold on to that Niger spirit of resilience and optimism. Secondly, I would say, please, this is the downside of the Niger. Niger, we can show off. Nobody fakes it like Niger, right? So please avoid the temptation to show off or pretend to know something you don't.
Right.
It's okay to ask a question. It's okay to seek for guidance or help. Look, I don't know this, can you show me? Even if you're asking someone, there's something called reverse mentoring, where you, as the supposedly senior person, you're seeking help from someone younger, because the fact that they're younger doesn't mean they don't know stuff you don't.
True.
So yeah, you don't need to feel inadequate simply because you're seeking for help from someone else. So those are the two things I'll touch on that are unique to us as Nigerians.
Right.
Yeah.
And to wrap it up, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I'd say imposter syndrome doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're human, right? And focus on the journey, not perfection. Avoid the temptation to be a perfectionist. Yes, there's always room for improvement, but success is a journey. Enjoy the journey.
Now I give you the applause. Thank you so much, Patrick.
You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Cha-Cha on Base 101.1 FM.